Hey guys, today is a great day and I'm in a great mood because finally it's raining. I swear it hasn't rained all summer and finally today it's raining. So what's better thing to do on a rainy day than go to your kitchen and cooking some food? And that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna show you guys how to make one of my all-time favorite food items ever. The Dan Dan noodles. And I do want to say, if you see me sweat profusely, it's really because I had to turn off the AC for today's episode because it made a lot of noises last time. So if you see me sweating like a pig, that's why, and that's also why I'm wearing this. But I feel really good today. It's raining outside, it's got that cozy atmosphere. I got everything prepped, I'm ready to crush this dish. I'm ready to shove it all in my mouth after I crush this dish. And guys, this is a really quick, easy dish to make, and I think you'll love it. So let's get started. First of all, let's go over some of the ingredients. I have here 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce and 1 teaspoon of Chinese vinegar. And you want to use dark soy sauce for this. Here I have a teaspoon of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of Chinese pepper powder, which is this. This is like the Chinese peppercorn, but in powder form. And then finally, I have a half a teaspoon of chicken bouillon, where you can substitute that with salt. I got some fresh cilantro and scallions for my garnish, 2 cloves of garlic, and again, some scallions, 2 tablespoons of homemade hot oil, and I just got some fried peanuts here. About 6 ounces of ground beef, about 8 ounces of thin Chinese noodles, and I have some sesame paste. To cook this dish, there's really 3 elements. 1, you got to mix your sauce. 2, you got to boil your noodles. And 3, you got to cook your meat. So let's start with mixing the sauce. To make the sauce, all I'm gonna do is take about half a teaspoon of sesame paste, Chinese sesame paste. And guys, if you can't find this, they sell this at basically every single Asian supermarket. Then you're gonna go ahead and pour in your soy sauce and vinegar. So again, that's 1.5 tablespoons of dark soy sauce and a teaspoon of Chinese vinegar. Then we're gonna mix in our sugar, our Chinese pepper powder, and our chicken bouillon. Again, if you don't have chicken bouillon, you can use salt. Finally, my favorite part and my favorite ingredient is the homemade hot chili oil. Guys, the best thing to do is not buy these at stores because a lot of times when you buy chili oil that comes in a jar, what they do is they add a lot of red food coloring. So if you make this at home, it's really simple to make. I'll put the link to my recipe in the description box. It's really simple to make. Just make a bunch. They store basically forever. And then you can have this awesome stuff whenever you want. So go ahead and dump your chili oil in here. So there you go, guys. Once you have everything in the bowl, just give that a nice mix in. Smell that here. Ooh, wow, just that one little smell made my mouth water. So I'm smelling a lot of sesame sauce, the peppery aroma of the Chinese pepper powder. Wow. Ooh, and that soy sauce actually smells really nice here too. And now what we're gonna do is while you're stir frying your meat, go ahead and get a pot and fill that with water and start heating up your water, because then when your meat's almost done, your pasta is almost done and you can eat everything at the same time. So next we're gonna go ahead and stir fry our meat. I'm gonna pour a little oil onto my pan. Go ahead and turn the heat on medium and then just go ahead and stir fry your meat up. And guys, a lot of times people want to use ground pork instead of ground beef. That's a personal choice. I mean, you can use ground chicken if you want to. You can use ground turkey if you want to. I like beef more than pork. But if you are using ground pork, what you want to do when you're stir frying it is to stir fry the pork with some ginger as well, so you can get rid of a lot of the wild taste of the pork. Again, I like beef better, so I'm going to use beef. And as soon as the beef turns mostly brown, I'm gonna go ahead and add my garlic and my scallions. Also, what you wanna do is give your meat some color by adding a teaspoon of dark soy sauce. That's gonna make your meat look really nice. Like it's all sauced up, you know? When that's done, just take that off the heat and set it aside. I love the smell of fried garlic. Let me know if you guys like that as well. See, this is why I could never be a vampire. I love garlic too much. My pot has boiled. I'm gonna put my noodles in here. These are really thin Chinese noodles. You wanna use really thin noodles for this dish because you want the sauce to soak in, to grab onto as much of the noodle as possible. If the noodle is too wide, the sauce really won't penetrate that well. I'm gonna go ahead and toss that in. So while we're waiting for the noodles to boil, I'm going to tell you guys a little about the history of dandan noodles. This, of course, is a Sichuan dish. The reason they call it dandan noodles is not because the person who invented it was named Dan, so it's not Dan noodles. But this dish in Chinese is dandan mian. And dandan is actually the pole that people use when they carry like, a couple things around like on each end, and they use a pole and they balance it on their shoulders. That's called a dandan. And back about 150 years ago when this dish first came about, people were selling this dish with 2 barrels on each end of a dandan. And one barrel had the noodles and one barrel had the sauce. And that's why they call this dandan mian, dandan noodles. And there's a lot of variations to how this dish is made. Sometimes I've seen this dish with a lot of soup. What they do is they add a lot of chicken stock. I personally think that this dish should be without the soup. I feel like it should just be with the noodles and with the sauce, and gives it a really nice, almost a jiajiang mian take to it. Also, one thing I did not include in this recipe, if you like it, you can go ahead and do that, but I didn't include any preserved vegetables. Sometimes this recipe calls for xue cai or ya cai. These are basically Chinese pickled vegetables, and what you do is you stir fry some of that in with your meat. But personally, I'm adding a different element of crunch to this dish, so I'm gonna forego the pickled vegetables. Also, I know that's something that may be hard to obtain for some of you, so I'm gonna go ahead and just leave that out. You know, this dish is literally something I must get every time I try out a new Sichuan restaurant, and how they prepared this dish really sets up the entire meal for me, whether my meal is going to be really authentic or not. Oh, one last thing, I totally forgot to bring this up. Maybe it's because I hate vegetables in general and they're all my worst enemies, especially you, broccoli. But you need an element of leafy green vegetables in this dish, and that's gonna really complement this dish very well, because this dish is gonna be salty, it's gonna be spicy, and you need something to kind of counteract that. So today I have a handful of pea shoots. You can use spinach, you can use almost any green leafy vegetable. All you gotta do is, while your noodles is cooking, toss it in, and the vegetables will be ready in like 10 seconds. All right, perfect. Got my noodles, got my veggies. Let's go ahead and put this dish together. Contrary to what happens in the West, the sauce actually do not go on top of the noodles in this dish. The sauce actually goes on the bottom. I've even seen places where they put the sauce and the meat on the bottom, and then put the noodles all on top. But we're not gonna do that here. We're gonna go ahead and put the sauce, then we're gonna put the noodles, then we're gonna put the meat, then we're gonna garnish it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pour my sauce in. And you want to get every last drop of that sauce. And before you put your noodles in, you want to make sure to drain it completely so that there's no excess water that's messing up your sauce. Once you've done that, go ahead and add your noodles and your vegetables. Now here's where the peanuts come in. And again, if you don't know how to make this really simple recipe, I'll include it in my description box. What you can do is you can toss these in whole, or you can kind of crunch them up and then toss them in. And this is gonna give your dish a very nice crunchy texture and add a depth of flavor into your dandan noodles. I'm gonna go ahead and crush these a little bit and sprinkle them on my dish. And there you go, guys, dandan noodles. Okay, finally, the ultimate test, how does it taste? What you wanna do is you wanna give these noodles a really nice mix, and you wanna get the sauce all the way from the bottom, and you want to mix every single piece of noodle with the sauce. Yeah, that's why you want a big plate or a nice big bowl, because this isn't really easy to do in a small bowl. You got peanuts flying around everywhere, and your meat's running away. You don't want to waste meat. I mean, one of the saddest things I can ever think of is eating a dish and the meat's on top, and you try mixing the dish and the meat like falls onto the floor. I just feel really sad at that point. Those are definitely some Asian problems. So once you give this a nice mix, you see how these noodles turn into a nice saucy color? All right, let's try this out. Oh my God, that's amazing. That is so good. Never will you have to go to a Sichuan restaurant and pay $7.99 for this dish ever again. Oh my God. Oh my God. This dish is spicy. The heat is incredible because I added so much hot oil. You don't have to add as much hot oil as I did, but if you like the heat, definitely do what I did. Also, the numbing powder, it's very pronounced and I love it. And it's not like, you know, you bite into a Chinese peppercorn sometimes and you feel like someone tasered your mouth. It doesn't feel like that at all. It's numbing in a good way. So this dish really exhibits a lot of the numb slash spice characteristic of a Sichuan dish, and it is absolutely incredible. And this is why you need to use really thin noodles. Every single one of the noodles is covered with the sauce, and that gives it so much flavor. So you don't ever get like, you know, a mouthful of noodles and you're like, oh, I need more sauce with the noodles. You don't ever get that. And the peanut is a great element, great addition to this dish. It really gives it a nice crunchy texture and even more peanutty flavor to this dish, which it has the sesame element. Then you add a little bit of the peanut element, makes this dish even more amazing. You know, whenever I show you guys a recipe video, I want to make sure it's easy, you can do it, and also it tastes amazing. And there might be other recipes of dandan noodles out there. Nuh-uh. Right here. This is it, guys. I got you covered. You never have to go anywhere else. Try this recipe. This is absolutely amazing. And this serves probably like 4 or 5 or just 1. So, you know, bring this for dinner night. Again, this recipe is best if you can tolerate the heat. So if you're making this and you got friends who can't take spice, then make new friends. And if you can't take the spice, definitely start training until you can. All right, guys, this recipe is in the description box. Definitely go try it. This is 100% a winner. Let me know if you like it or not. And if you haven't done it already, definitely follow me on Instagram, where I post a lot of awesome food pictures. Follow me on Facebook, Snapchat, all that other stuff. I would appreciate that very much. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go have some private moments with my dandan noodles now. See you later.